Now, covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust. Jeff Angelo on News Radio 1040 WHO and the iHeartRadio app.
When it comes to free time, how much is the right amount? Well, there is a team of researchers that have surveyed more than 35,000 Americans, and they have found that the optimal amount of free time is 2.5 hours a day. 2.5 hours a day. And you can imagine that a lot of us looked at that study and went, 2.5 hours a day. How? Seemed like a good topic to talk over with neuropsychologist Dr. Michelle Bengtson. She has written on anxiety and finding peace. And Dr. Bengtson, welcome back to WHO. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. So do you have 2 hours of free time a day?
No. And I thought, I guess my first question was when I saw this was, look, is there an optimal amount of free time a day? Because here's the thing, Dr. Bengtson, you've kind of gotten to know me. I'm a pretty happy person, and I'm pretty busy most of the day. And I imagine that a lot of Americans looked at that study and went, there's just no way. So is it true that there's an optimal time? What did you think?
Well, I do think that there is, but I think they might be oversimplifying a little bit. The point really of the study, though, is that if we don't get enough of that free time, and really free time is defined as doing things that are pleasurable that we choose.
Okay.
So if we don't get enough of that, then we feel starved for it. And you and I have talked before about how that can lead to depression and anxiety and increased stress. But I found it really interesting that the converse is true as well, that when we have too much free time, we're no more happier. And I think part of that is because then as Americans who are very focused on being busy and productive, we feel like we're unproductive and lazy. And then that has a negative impact on us as well.
Well, and I can relate to that, what you were just saying, Dr. Bengtson, that you can have too much free time. Because when I take a vacation, I'm going somewhere and I'm on vacation. I don't take a day off from the radio station just to take a day off because I feel lost. If I could be working, and I do get a great deal of satisfaction from my job, then I want to be working. So you actually can get too much free time, right?
You really can, because we are designed to have goals and to be productive. But I think what this study really highlighted is that too many Americans are not taking enough time for themselves. You know, the study showed that 48% of Americans consider themselves workaholics.
Yeah.
And about 35% admitted that they spend at least 9 hours a day on screens.
Yep.
And then even more interesting was that at least the majority of Americans admit to the fact that they are working at least 4 hours a week for free. When we do that, we feel like there's not enough reward in our life and we are slaves to someone else. So, Jeff, it's like other issues that you and I have talked about. It's a matter of striking a healthy balance. But we have to be aware of where we're allocating our resources in order to maintain that balance.
Yeah, Dr. Bengtson, here to me is the challenge. I believe this becomes more of a challenge to all of us because of technology. And I love technology, but I got that computer sitting there at my end table. I've got the phone with me. I'm checking my email. I am responding to radio station related business. So we are, I think, making it harder on ourselves because work is more easily accessible. What do you think?
Oh, that's absolutely true, Jeff, because how many times, well, I won't ask you to admit, but I will admit that before my feet even hit the floor, I've already checked my email, I've already checked my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where's the day going to lead. And so, you know, I think it comes down to the fact that we do need that break. We are too tied to our devices. And as you and I have talked before, this can lead to depression, not just in us adults, but in our children. So are we going to do anything to make sure that we've got that healthy balance of non-screen related free time endeavors, reading a good book, going out with friends, being involved in exercise and sports related activities, civic involvement? That's where we need to see how much of our free time are we giving to screens versus some of those other healthy activities.
Well, Dr. Bengtson, that is ironic that you brought that up. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine last night, and I call it being intentional. Because, my first reaction to the study, ideally I need 2.5 hours of free time a day. And you go, I don't even know where I'm going to get that. But I think a number of us then don't even try, because you're right. Like, if you're going to take some time to read a good book during the day, you actually have to think about, hey, at some point, like 8 o'clock tonight, that's when I read a good book. So I would agree with you, and I imagine some of the advice you give to your clients is you've got to be actually intentional and proactive in making some free time for yourself.
Yes, you do. But to do that, you have to be aware. So I recommend that either you utilize an app where you can log how you're spending your time, or just a good old piece of paper next to you so that you can log, okay, instead of spending 5 minutes checking emails, I ended up giving an hour away to that when I could have been with my family. It's a little bit like when doctors have us log the foods that we eat.
Yeah.
The reason they do that is because we don't recognize those 2 and 3 and 10 extra bites of food in the middle of the day. And so when we become aware, then we can be proactive, just as you're suggesting. But it comes first down to being aware and then being intentional in our decisions.
I was interested in your earlier answer, Dr. Bengtson, because when I saw this study and it said free time, I literally assumed that is just freeing your mind, like literally staring out the window or just relaxing on the couch but not thinking of anything. But you said free time is anything pleasurable. So you can engage in things, but it's got to be something you're just doing what? You said voluntarily, and it's got to be fun, right?
Yes, it has to be something that you choose, that you want to do, that you enjoy. And so, some people will think that they're spending their free time, for example, at their child's soccer game.
Yeah.
Well, that might not always be pleasurable. That might not be what you choose to do, but you do it because you're a good parent. So that means that we've got to find those times and those activities where we're actually taking care of our own soul, so to speak. Something that feeds us, that refuels us, that we enjoy.
Dr. Bengtson, I think you just had a revelation for some parents out there. It's okay to admit that the kids' schedule is sometimes a grind.
It is. I love my kids, Jeff. I love them so much, but we've got a track meet. And in Texas, track season means it's going to rain. That's not always how I want to spend my day. But I will because I love my child. But then that means I've got to find a way to refuel myself doing something else.
I used to go to band and flag competitions where I got to watch my kid perform for 65 seconds out of a 3-hour event, sitting on hard bleachers. That actually, now I'm going to say it. It wasn't very pleasurable. I love my kids.
Yes, I can totally relate. Been to those competitions myself. So we need that healthy balance. I'm all for supporting our children, but they need to see us doing healthy activities that we enjoy as well, that are non-screen related.
Yeah.
Going back to other topics that you and I have discussed, Jeff, we model for them appropriate behavior. And if they see us spending all of our time on screens, that's what they're going to do as well. But if they see us getting out there and shooting hoops or going for a run, they're going to be more interested in that too.
Great advice. Neuropsychologist Dr. Michelle Bengtson. Dr. Bengtson, it's always a joy. Thanks very much for talking with me.
Have a great day and enjoy your free time, Jeff.
I will. 10:45 is our time.